Have you ever felt like the more you grow, the more distant you become from the people around you? Almost as if the things that once connected you don't hold the same weight anymore. You laugh at the same jokes less, you care less about the things they obsess over, and instead, your mind drifts toward bigger dreams, deeper thoughts, and a different future. If you've been wondering why you feel this way, you're not alone. Today, I want to share with you 12 signs that you're growing faster than the people around you. And if some of these hit home, don't panic. It just means you're stepping into a new chapter of your life. Sign 1: you no longer fit into old conversations. It starts subtly. You're sitting with people you've known for years, and the conversation feels familiar. Too familiar. The same jokes, the same stories, the same gossip about who's doing what. And while you smile and nod, deep down, something inside you feels restless. You're not trying to judge them. You're not trying to feel superior, but your mind is simply in a different place now. You crave depth. You crave conversations that make you think, that make you question, that make you feel alive. You notice yourself asking bigger questions. What's my purpose? How can I grow? How can I heal from what I've been through? How do I build a life that actually excites me? And when you try to bring those questions up, sometimes people look at you like you're strange, or they brush it off, or they quickly change the subject. That's when you realize the truth. You don't belong in the same conversations anymore, because you're not the same person anymore. Growth changes your language. It changes the energy you bring into a room. And while others may still find comfort in small talk, you're learning to find comfort in honesty, vulnerability, and vision. This shift can make you feel out of place, but it's also one of the clearest signs that you're outgrowing your old environment. And here's the thing. It's okay. It's okay to feel that disconnect. It's okay if the conversations that once entertained you now feel empty. It doesn't mean you've lost connection with people forever. It just means your spirit is calling you towards something deeper. And sometimes, that requires you to create new spaces, new friendships, and new conversations that match the person you're becoming. Sign 2: people say you've changed, and not always as a compliment. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Someone you've known for years looks at you differently and says, "You've changed." Sometimes it's said with a smile, but other times, there's a sharpness in their tone, almost like they're accusing you of something. And for a moment, you question yourself. Did I really change? Am I doing something wrong? But then you realize the truth. Yes, you've changed. You're not the same person you used to be. You've shed old layers, healed old wounds, broken old habits. You think differently now. You act differently. You see life differently. And not everyone will like that. You see, when you grow, it shines a light on the people who haven't. And that light can be uncomfortable. Your discipline reminds them of their excuses. Your courage highlights their fear. Your new direction forces them to confront the fact that they've been standing still. And instead of admitting that, it's easier for them to point at you and say, "You've changed." Sometimes people will try to pull you back into the version of yourself they were comfortable with. The one who didn't question things, the one who stayed small, the one who didn't make them feel insecure. But you can't go back, not without betraying yourself. And here's the thing. They're right. You have changed, and that's something to celebrate. You're supposed to evolve. You're supposed to grow. Imagine if you stayed the same person you were 5 years ago. Imagine if you never outgrew your old pain, your old habits, your old mindset. That wouldn't be living. That would be staying stuck. So when people say, "You've changed," don't shrink. Don't apologize. Don't feel guilty. Instead, smile and say, "Yes, I have." Because change is not a weakness. It's proof that you're alive, that you're moving forward, and that you refuse to settle for who you used to be. Sign 3: you value time more than ever. Something shifts inside you when you start to grow. You begin to see time differently. It's no longer just hours on a clock or days on a calendar. It feels heavier, more sacred. You realize that time is the one thing you can never get back, and that awareness changes everything. You start noticing how much of life is wasted on things that don't really matter. Endless scrolling, pointless arguments, empty routines, hanging around people who drain your energy. And suddenly, you don't have the tolerance for it anymore. It's not that you're cold. It's that you finally understand the value of what's slipping through your fingers every single day. When you grow, you start protecting your time like it's treasure. You stop saying yes to every invitation. You stop giving your energy to conversations that go nowhere. You stop letting guilt trap you in spaces you've outgrown, because you realize every yes is a trade. Every moment you give away is a piece of your life you'll never see again. And this is where people around you may begin to misunderstand you. They might call you distant. They might say you're too busy now. They might feel like you've abandoned them. But what they don't see is that you're not abandoning anyone. You're honoring yourself. You're choosing to spend your time on things that bring you closer to your future, your healing, your purpose. It doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It doesn't mean you never rest or laugh or enjoy the present. It simply means you no longer waste your life on things that don't serve you. Because you've learned that wasted time is wasted potential. And you're no longer willing to lose yourself just to keep everyone else comfortable. When you value your time, your whole world changes. You stop living on autopilot and start living with intention. And though not everyone will understand, one day they'll see it clearly. Your growth didn't make you selfish, it made you wise. Sign 4. You outgrow old habits and friendships. One of the most painful, yet most powerful parts of growth is realizing that the things which once felt like home no longer fit you. The routines you used to cling to for comfort start to feel heavy. The habits you used to repeat without question now feel like chains. Even the people you once couldn't imagine living without begin to feel distant. Not because you stopped loving them, but because you stopped being the same version of yourself. When you grow, you shed layers. You let go of the patterns that kept you small, the cycles that drained your energy, the distractions that numbed your pain. And with every habit you outgrow, a part of your old life begins to fade. Sometimes those habits were deeply tied to certain friendships. Maybe you had a group you always went out with, always drank with, always complained with. And when you stop doing those things, the bond between you begins to shift. At first, you may feel guilty. You may wonder if you're being unfair, if you're abandoning people, if you're the problem. But here's the truth. You're not leaving anyone behind. You're simply answering the call to become more of who you are meant to be. Growth doesn't always fit neatly with old friendships, because friendships are often built on shared habits. And when the habits die, sometimes the friendship does too. This doesn't mean those people don't matter. It doesn't mean those memories weren't real. It doesn't mean the love wasn't genuine. It just means the season has changed. And when seasons change, the trees don't fight to keep every leaf. They let them fall. It hurts, but it's necessary. Because as long as you hold on to what you've outgrown, you'll never have space for what's waiting for you. The friendships you're losing are making room for the friendships you truly need. The ones built on growth, on purpose, on alignment. So don't fear the distance. Don't resist the shedding. Trust that every old habit you let go of and every friendship that fades is simply life making space for a future that matches your growth. Sign 5. You feel lonely, even in a crowd. This one is hard to explain unless you've felt it. You're surrounded by people. The room is full of laughter, chatter, and noise. Everyone seems alive, connected, caught up in the moment, and yet you feel a quiet emptiness inside. It's not that you don't care about the people around you. It's not that you don't enjoy their presence. It's that something inside you has shifted, and the connection you're craving goes deeper than the one being offered. Growth creates distance, even when you're still physically close. It's like your soul is operating on a new frequency, and while others are still tuned into the old station, you can't help but feel out of place. You can love them deeply, but still feel unseen. You can share the same space, but feel miles apart. And at first, it makes you question yourself. Why do I feel so disconnected? Why does being here make me feel lonelier than being alone? But over time, you begin to understand that loneliness is not a punishment, it's a signal. It's showing you that your spirit is evolving faster than your surroundings. It's telling you that the conversations, the activities, even the energy that once filled you up, no longer matches who you are becoming. This loneliness is not a void to be feared. It's an invitation to embrace solitude, to go deeper within yourself, to start seeking out connections that align with your new path. Because the truth is, the crowd was never meant to complete you. The crowd was never meant to heal you. Yes, this season may feel isolating. Yes, it may feel like no one truly understands you. But remember this, loneliness in a crowd is not the end of your journey. It's the middle of your transformation. You're being pulled away from what no longer fits, so you can make space for the people and places that will. Sign 6. You're focused on the future, while others live in the past. You start to notice it in conversations. Some people love to circle back to the same memories, old parties, old mistakes, old glory days. They cling to the past like it's the only place where life had meaning. And while you can smile and reminisce, deep down, you don't feel at home there anymore. Your heart isn't stuck in what was. It's drawn toward what could be. When you're growing, your vision naturally shifts forward. You start asking, what can I build next? Where am I going? How can I create a better version of myself? The past becomes a lesson, not a destination. You respect it. You learn from it. But you don't live there anymore. This difference can make you feel out of sync with the people around you. They want to keep reliving yesterday, but you want to prepare for tomorrow. They're comfortable with nostalgia, but you're hungry for possibility. And that hunger sets you apart. Sometimes, people won't understand your focus. They'll call you too serious, too ambitious, too restless. They may even try to pull you back into the comfort of what's familiar. But growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. It happens in the unknown. And you've learned that the only way to step into your future is to stop clinging to your past. So you keep moving forward, even when others don't follow. You stop chasing memories, and instead, you start chasing vision. And little by little, you discover that the future isn't something to fear, it's something to create. Sign 7. You stop seeking validation. One of the most powerful shifts that comes with growth is the quiet moment you realize you don't need everyone's approval anymore. For so long, you might have lived with that invisible pressure, posting things just to be liked, saying things just to be accepted, doing things just to be noticed. It's exhausting, carrying your worth in the hands of other people. But as you grow, something changes. You stop looking outward for permission and start looking inward for truth. You stop needing applause to keep moving because you've learned that external validation is fragile. It comes and goes depending on people's moods, their insecurities, their own perspective. And you can't build your life on something so unstable. When you reach this stage, you begin to trust yourself more deeply. You start making decisions not because they'll impress others, but because they align with your values, your vision, your growth. You start walking a path that may not always make sense to people around you, but feels right in your soul. And that kind of freedom is rare. Of course, not everyone will understand. Some may call you arrogant. Some may say you've changed or become distant. But what they don't see is that your worth is no longer tied to their approval. It's rooted in your own belief. And that makes you unshakable. Because here's the truth. Validation from others feels good for a moment, but validation from yourself lasts a lifetime. And when you reach that place, nothing and no one can take it away. Sign 8. You notice jealousy from others. Growth doesn't just change you, it changes how people see you. And not everyone reacts with support. Sometimes the more you rise, the more you notice subtle shifts in the people around you. A quiet silence when you share your progress. A joke that feels more like a jab. A comment that seems harmless on the surface but carries a sting underneath. At first, it's confusing. These are people who once cheered for you, who claimed they wanted the best for you. But as you start stepping into your potential, something changes. Your growth becomes a mirror, reflecting back to them the places where they've stayed still. And not everyone is ready to face that. For some, your courage reminds them of their fear. Your discipline highlights their excuses. Your vision exposes their lack of one. And instead of letting your journey inspire them, they resist it. They may distance themselves. They may criticize you. They may even try to pull you back down to the level they're comfortable with. This is one of the hardest truths about growth. Not everyone will celebrate you. In fact, sometimes the people you expected to clap the loudest are the ones who go quiet. But here's what you must remember. It's not about you. Their jealousy, their resistance, their discomfort, it's not a reflection of your failure. It's a reflection of their own battles. So don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't dim your light to make it easier for them to ignore their shadows. Keep shining, because the right people won't be threatened by your growth. They'll be inspired by it. And the ones who resist? They're just proof that you're moving into new territory. Sign 9. You prefer being alone. There comes a point in your growth where silence feels richer than noise, and solitude feels more nourishing than being surrounded by people who don't understand you. It's not that you've stopped loving others. It's that you've started loving yourself enough to protect your peace. Before, maybe you couldn't stand being alone. You needed constant distraction, constant chatter, constant plans just to fill the emptiness inside. But now, solitude no longer feels like a punishment. It feels like a sanctuary, a space where you can hear your own thoughts, reconnect with your vision, and realign with who you're becoming. And because of this, shallow company begins to drain you. The small talk, the gossip, the conversations that circle around nothing, it all starts to feel heavy. You crave depth now. You crave real connection, real honesty, real meaning. And until you find it, you'd rather sit in silence than waste your energy pretending. This shift can make others think you're distant, antisocial, or too serious. But the truth is, you're simply more selective with your energy. You've learned that your time is too precious to spend on people who only want your presence, but not your essence. So yes, you may spend more evenings alone. You may choose quiet walks over crowded rooms. You may spend more time journaling, reflecting, creating. And while others may not understand it, deep down you know. Solitude is where you grow. It's where you recharge. It's where you become. And when the right people arrive, the ones who bring depth instead of noise, you'll welcome them. But until then, you won't settle for shallow. Sign 10. You define success differently. There's a moment in your growth where you stop chasing the definition of success that the world handed you. The cars, the money, the status, the applause, things you once thought would prove your worth suddenly feel empty. Not because they're bad, but because they're not enough. You realize success isn't about impressing others, it's about living in alignment with your soul. It's about waking up with peace, moving through your day with purpose, and going to bed knowing you stayed true to yourself. Success stops being about how much you can collect, and starts being about how much you can become. This shift can confuse people. They might wonder why you're no longer chasing what everyone else is chasing. They might even say you've lost your drive. But the truth is, you haven't lost it. You've just redirected it. You no longer measure your life by what's visible to others, but by what's valuable to you. Maybe success, to you now, looks like protecting your mental health, or spending time with people who actually nourish you, or pursuing a dream no one else understands. But that sets your soul on fire. That's the beauty of growth. It gives you permission to choose your own definition of success, even if it looks nothing like the world's version. And when you embrace this, You stop running a race you never wanted to be in. You stop competing with people you don't even know. You stop living for the scoreboard, and you start living for the truth. That is freedom. That is growth. That is real success. Growth is not always easy. It's not always glamorous, and it's definitely not always celebrated. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes it feels heavy. Sometimes it feels like you're walking down a road no one else understands. But here's the truth. That discomfort, that distance, that sense of being different, it's proof that you're moving, proof that you're breaking cycles, proof that you're not settling for the version of yourself you once were. You may not always see the results yet. You may not always feel like you're there. But the very fact that you no longer fit into the old spaces, the old habits, the old versions of yourself, that's a sign you're on the right path. If this video spoke to you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need the reminder today. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep walking your path. Thanks for watching.